Going out by yourself. It sounds so simple, right? But if we're being really honest, it can feel kind of strange, maybe even uncomfortable. Think about the last time you walked into a restaurant alone. The hostess asks, "Table for how many?" And you quietly reply, "Just one." And in that tiny little moment, those two words, "just one," it feels like the whole room pauses and looks at you. Suddenly, you're hyper aware of your steps as you follow her to your table. You notice the couples laughing over shared plates, families passing food back and forth, groups of friends telling stories, making jokes, and there you are sliding into a chair by yourself. And even though no one has said a word to you, inside your head a voice starts whispering, "Do they notice I'm alone? Are they judging me? Do I look sad? Do I look awkward?" The truth is, most of the people around you are too busy living their own moment to even notice. But that doesn't stop you from feeling like a spotlight is shining directly on you. So what do? You pick up your phone, pretend to scroll through notifications you've already checked. You open the menu and study it like you're preparing for an exam. You take tiny sips of water just to have something to do with your hands. And in that moment, you don't just feel alone, you feel exposed. But here's the interesting thing. That uncomfortable moment, that's actually where growth begins. Because the more you practice being out in the world by yourself, the more you start to notice something deeper. Yes, at first it's awkward. Yes, it can make you want to shrink. But if you sit through that initial wave of discomfort, something shifts. You begin to notice details you've never seen before. The smell of fresh bread drifting from the kitchen, the sunlight warming the corner of the table, the way people laugh with their whole bodies, the sound of a child asking endless questions. You begin to see life happening not through someone else's conversation, but through your own quiet observation. And slowly, you start to realize being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. In fact, being alone can be one of the most powerful, sacred, grounding experiences you will ever have. Because when you're sitting there without distraction, without a friend to talk to, without a partner to lean on, you're left with the one person who will never leave you, yourself. And that's where the magic starts. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. Not the noise of the crowd, not the expectations of others, but your own inner voice. You discover what you like, not just what the group wants. You taste the food more deeply because you're not rushing through conversation. You feel the environment more fully because you're actually present. It's almost like going on a date with your own soul. And yes, at first it's weird, because society doesn't really celebrate solitude. Movies show us friendships, love stories, big family gatherings. Advertisements sell the idea of being surrounded by people, of being connected every second. Very rarely do you see an image of someone joyfully sitting alone at a table, fully content. So when we choose solitude, it feels countercultural. It feels like we're doing something wrong. But maybe, just maybe, solitude isn't wrong. Maybe it's exactly what our souls are craving. Here's what I've learned. When you go out alone, you start to build a quiet kind of confidence. You realize that you don't need someone sitting across from you to validate your presence. You don't need laughter at your table to prove you belong, because the truth is, you already belong. You belong the moment you walk into the room. You belong simply because you exist. And when you carry that kind of presence, something shifts inside you. You're no longer going out because you're waiting for someone to accompany you. You're going out because you deserve the experience. You're no longer hiding behind busyness or company. You're showing up fully as yourself. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. When you sit in solitude, in a cafe, in a restaurant, in a park, you begin to feel a presence that's even greater than your own, the presence of your creator. That quiet awareness that you are not just a random person filling a chair, you are someone intentionally placed here in this moment by the one who made you. And that awareness changes everything. Suddenly the silence doesn't feel empty, it feels sacred. The stillness isn't loneliness, it's communion. You begin to understand that being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. You are always in the presence of the one who knows you more deeply than anyone else ever could. And the more you practice this, the stronger you become. Because here's the thing, when you're comfortable being alone, You stop clinging to relationships out of desperation. You stop needing company just to fill the silence. Instead, you choose people because you want them in your life, not because you need them to feel whole. That changes everything. Your friendships become richer. Your relationships become healthier. Because you're no longer afraid of solitude, you can show up with authenticity. You can give love freely because you already know you are complete on your own. So yes, going out alone can feel strange at first. It can make you want to shrink into the background, but it's also one of the bravest things you can do. Every solo meal, every solo walk, every solo outing, it's an act of courage. A declaration that says, I am here. I am enough. Even without an audience, even without a companion, I belong. And the more you practice it, the more natural it feels. One day you realize you've stopped pulling out your phone to look busy. You've stopped rushing through your meal. Instead, you're savoring each bite. You're smiling at strangers as they pass. You're sitting in your own strength, completely comfortable in your skin. And that is freedom. So the next time you find yourself about to say, I'll just stay home because I don't want to go alone, pause, take a breath, and go anyway. Walk into that cafe, order that meal, sit in that park, go to that movie. Not because you need to prove something, but because you deserve to experience life fully without waiting for someone else to validate it. And when you sit there, alone but never truly alone, remember, the Creator who made you, who formed you, who breathed life into you, is sitting there with you. So lift your head, breathe deeply, taste the food, listen to the world around you, feel the quiet power of your own company. Because you, just as you are enough. So yes, going out by yourself might feel a little weird, but maybe weird is exactly what we need. Because in that weirdness, we discover truth. We discover freedom. We discover that we are whole, and that, my friend, is worth everything. And if you find yourself in a moment of doubt, when solitude doesn't feel comforting but oppressive, remember, it's simply another step on the path to self-discovery. Every quiet day spent alone teaches you something precious about who you are and who you want to be. As the light fades and night embraces you, solitude becomes your sanctuary. It's the companion that never talks back, but somehow helps you hear your own voice clearer than before. Let it be your guide. In it you'll find unexpected revelations and more profound connections with the world than you could have imagined. And in those revelations, something beautiful happens. You open yourself to being more present when surrounded by others, not out of necessity, but choice. The choice to be happy alone and together. So go out, embrace the world quietly, yet passionately. Remember, the journey with yourself is the one you've been waiting for.